Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have indie emo pop punk band Trading Twilight.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
I guess it's time to start taking your pictures off my wall. I can't keep waking up to the thought of what was. How many times can I wake up from this dream? It always seems like there's something better for me every time I'm alone. Nowhere feels like home.
Could we go around the room and just introduce yourself and what instrument you play?
Sure. I'm Josh currently, and for like the past year, am the drummer. I started out originally way back when we were founded as the lead guitarist and was for like the first several years, but I'm currently the drummer.
My name is Tim. I play guitar and I sing. I also play drums, bass, piano, whatever needed at the moment or in the studio, but on stage you'll see me singing and holding a guitar.
My name is Katie. I am the keyboardist. I also play the bass on a synthesizer, so that's what you're doing.
I was going to add that if you didn't, and also the current bassist.
What was one of your favorite albums growing up that you could listen to front to back?
Well, I'll answer first. I feel like I'm the biggest album guy here as far as full albums go.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe The Greatest Generation by the Wonder Years, I would say, is one of them. I've always been a huge fan of Soupy's writing, particularly the ending song, I Just Want to Sell at My Funeral. It's an epic classic, bringing in concepts throughout the whole album, lyrics throughout the whole album, and that's definitely something we tried to replicate a little bit on the last two songs of our album. Do you guys want to add the albums?
I mean, if you're going with that does bring to mind, I was a huge, and still am a huge, Suburbia, the very previous album from the Wonder Years. I just kind of was more, it hit me at a time in my life where it was really relatable, kind of like early 20s, borderline mid-20s, kind of like in limbo in life. And Suburbia really outlines that feeling pretty well. And yeah, I still love the music from it to this day.
The Greatest Generation is a little bit more of like an influx album, an in motion kind of going through struggle or turmoil actively, and a lot of reflection. But I'm a big Suburbia fan too. You want to add any albums?
I would say, I mean, if we're all answering the question individually, I would not say there's a particular album, but rather just a mishmash of tons of musical influences spanning different genres. So like I grew up listening, I did dance when I was young, so I listened to a lot of Cirque du Soleil. My parents loved 70s yacht rock and Santana, so lots of Led Zeppelin too. I listen to pop music. I listen to classical music a lot because I used to be a classical pianist. So really, I enjoy a lot of stuff. But I would say that what I think the sound that we're going for and the influence that, things like the Wonder Years and particularly their Greatest Generation album, I would say that that really speaks to me. Like I didn't know the Greatest Generation when I came into the band, but like I could really see that that's something that we're trying to emulate.
And I'll throw out one last one. Everything in Transit by Jax Mannequin. It's my favorite album of all time. I love his like warm sarcasm, the breeziness throughout it. I feel like it's easy to see the imagery across the album. I love the artwork, so I'll throw that out there too.
Okay. How about your first concert you attended?
My first concert I attended was the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and Mr. Smalls in, it was either 2008 or 2009. It was coming right off the heels of their most popular album, like I think it's Don't You Fake It.
My first album was the first concert that I went to was actually All Time Low. It was seeing them at Stage AE. Though before that, I was a huge watch concerts on YouTube guy as I grew up not exactly rich. I used to watch a lot of Blink-182 concerts, especially their, I'd always come back to their Big Day Out in Australia, I think it was.
My first concert and one of, ironically, the only band major concerts that I've been to was Imagine Dragons in 2015, I want to say. I was a big alternative fan as a teenager, so yeah.
Okay. Let's get into, how did you start playing your instrument and what age? What got you into playing your instrument?
Let's go with you first this time, Kate.
Okay, well, I started playing the piano when I was 1.5, right before I started kindergarten. And as I mentioned, I was classically trained. My teacher went to Juilliard, and she was fantastic. Huge influence throughout my life, still now. But I think, so yeah, very, what I play now is obviously very different from what I used to play. So yeah, piano. And ironically, I didn't start playing keyboard itself. Like, I always played, normal acoustic piano. Didn't really, seriously practice on an electronic keyboard until last year, I would say. And then obviously the bass on the synthesizer is still pretty new. That's we're maybe a year into that, when I got a synthesizer, and Tim was trying to see how we can maximize the capabilities of it. So that's relatively new.
I spent 5 hours searching for the absolute best bass tones that I could find online and figuring out how to manipulate them on the synth to make it sound good. Josh and I, now we have a pretty shared history when it comes to starting instruments in music and stuff. So you start, I'll kind of jump in. We'll kind of go back and forth because you started a little bit before me.
I did. I mean, I technically got my first acoustic guitar when I was 16 or 17, but I only half played it for 2 months, set it aside, kind of gave up. And then it wasn't until 2016 when I was 22, and I just was kind of a little bit burnt out on certain aspects of life. And I figured, I realized I still had this guitar, and that Tim and I had talked about starting a band years prior. And I'm like, okay, I got to give this a shot. I got to actually sit down, for an hour or two every morning because I worked overnight. So I'd come home and practice after working overnight. And I just stuck with it no matter what. I wanted to, I told myself, all right, I'm actually going to do this, see how far I can get. And now it's 10 years later.
So he's right. He and I did once talk about starting a band way back in high school. We knew each other in high school. We weren't the closest of friends. We didn't start interacting until years later afterward, on a regular basis. But I used to love to sing. I had a really long walk to my bus stop as a kid. I had a 25-minute walk. And every morning as I would walk there, I would just sing songs on my Walkman through my earbuds, or coming through my earbuds. I'd sing it out loud. And in high school, I would regularly skip lunch. I was, again, not having much money, and he would skip lunch with me sometimes. We'd walk through the halls, and I'd always be singing as we walked through the halls. And he told me at one point that he did have a guitar, took guitar lessons. I told him, hey, we should start a band, jokingly. And like seriously, like 3-4 years later, we ended up starting a band. We were hanging out off and on, like once every like 2 months or so, we'd meet up, go out, do something, and it was 2016. So that would have actually been 5 years since we had that conversation in high school, 2011. Yeah, so it was 5 years later. I was going through this breakup. I went over his house. It was like the first time I left my house in like 2 months. And we had a radio system in his grandfather's basement. I started playing music on it. And I was singing. I always had this propensity to sing. And he grabbed his guitar and started playing. And he was like, hey, do you want to try to sing this song, Damn It, by Blink-182? I've learned it recently. I know you know that song. I was like, okay, sure. And then it kind of became every time he and I would hang out, we would end up playing guitar and singing. And that lasted about a year. And after a year of just singing alongside him playing guitar, I was always like the technical guy. I would have the laptop open. I would be like, okay, so these are the chords. This is the song we're doing. And I would wait for him to practice. Then I would sing it off memory or like practicing it in the car on the way there. A year later, I started grabbing his guitar and like playing a little bit and stuff. And I was interested. And it just so happened that my ex-girlfriend or girlfriend at the time, she had moved into a new apartment, and the person who had lived there before her had a guitar that he had left there. It had been like 2 or 3 months, and he left it sitting outside on the porch. It was a what was the brand?
Was it Amiga? Was it about the Amiga?
No. It was like the starter guitar.
First Act.
Was it the First Act?
Those are both like the two.
I think it was a First Act guitar. It had the worst action imaginable. I'm talking like super far out, make your fingers bleed type of guitar. And I did not take it easy on myself. Do you remember the first song I learned?
Was it Every Man Has a Molly?
It was Every Man Has a Molly, but it was also I Want to Know Your Plans, which is what you were playing at the time.
Yeah, it was
Say Anything
not
songs.
necessarily beginner friendly.
And I tore up my fingers like bone bruises. It was the worst thing ever. But I started playing guitar. He transitioned from rhythm over to lead after about a year. And then over time, he and I just started playing a whole bunch of instruments. We ended up moving in together like a year and a half later. And he started playing piano. And then he quit after a couple months. We had a keyboardist join our band, and she played piano, but she didn't know how to read tabs, and I didn't know how to read sheet music at the time. So I learned how to play piano then just so I could translate it to her. And then years later, we went through a circumstance where we had this drummer that was going to record on our album, or on an EP we were doing before the album, and she dropped out. So he and I both started learning how to play drums in, 2021?
Late 2021.
So, yeah, he and I have had this conjoined history of learning how to play instruments over time. Oh, and by the way, it was when I started playing guitar, it was 2 months before I turned 24. I was 23 at the time. I'm secretly old.
Okay, so you're not letting anything stand in your way. If people you have lineup and then there's lineup changes, you're just keep on moving forward. How did Katie come into the picture?
Well, so our old keyboardist, Libby, she has a daughter, and she ended up over time as her daughter got older, just being more busy. I think she got like a promotion at her job, and that took up some of her time. And so Katie joined as like a substitute pianist.
Yeah, I was like part-time.
For whenever Libby wasn't there. She often didn't have time, but she had recorded vocals on the album, recorded piano parts on the album and stuff. So at the start, she was still attending our shows and she was still singing and stuff like that. But she wasn't exactly practiced on piano, and she would say that and apologize whenever she would come over. So Katie stepped in and she started playing piano a little bit more and a little bit more. And then we went through some strange lineup changes where two of the members that had joined a couple months before we released the album stepped away. Libby briefly transitioned to bass. She was practicing that for a few months, but it takes a long time to really get proficient at an instrument. And, she wasn't, and we weren't trying to force her to speed up or anything, but even she acknowledged, the pace that she was improving at wasn't really good enough for us to play shows and stuff. So that combined with her being busy with her daughter, she stepped away, and then we started looking for bassists. We interviewed a couple, and then we were just like, why don't you try to play bass on your synthesizer?
And I will add too, at least as far as joining the band, even as a keyboardist, like, I don't know, it's just a time in my life where I was like, one of my majors in college was, piano music. it was a very small liberal arts school that I went to, so it wasn't like competitive. I was the only music major in my grade. But I was like, I have this 20 plus year relationship with piano, and I've been playing like alone most of that time. Like, I don't often have the chance to play with other people. I want to do something fun with music, like I want to make it into something that's more enjoyable that I can share with other people. And so I think that's part of why I just decided to join the band in general. And fortunately, I feel like unlike a lot of bands, Tim actually has like tabs that he can make into sheet music that made it very accessible for me to join and learn the music that so I joined the band after, sometime in 2024, 2025, after the album was
you started playing
right
unofficially around
released.
like March or April of that year,
Yeah.
and then I would say you joined more full time maybe by like our October show.
Yeah, I would say so.
2024.
And as our manager Ben would say, she's our all-star. She's playing both piano and bass up on stage. I'm just playing guitar and singing like 80% of lead vocalists, and he's on drums.
Hey, we've had to make a lot of adjustments over, like, especially over the past, 2 or 3 years, because so far in our experience, like, finding musicians that we align with and that have, like, a consistent, solid work ethic, or honestly, even musicians that show up is kind of hard, because we've had a handful of people that we were set up an interview for, and the time comes and they just don't show up. Sometimes they say they're on their way, they never show up.
Yeah.
Or like we'll have, so the setup right now that we have works well, even if Katie's multitasking and I had to switch instruments. I mean, I think it's a solid sound setup right now, and something we could rely upon.
Yeah, we had one guy who we tried to interview. Our manager Ben was here. He was on the phone with him. He said he was driving from Cranberry. Said he'll be here, and it was strange. He's like, "Hey, I'm on my way from Cranberry. I'll be there in 15 minutes." We're like, "You can't make it here in 15 minutes from Cranberry," and he never showed up. He even texted him. He's like, "Still on my way." He got into an accident. He's dead. I have no idea what happened to this man, but he's out there somewhere maybe. I mean, he found a different band along the way, stumbled into a different band.
So, what city are you based out of?
Well, the easiest thing to say is Pittsburgh, but we all live a little bit north of Pittsburgh, the suburban metropolitan area around it. Technically, he and I are in Beaver County, and she is in Allegheny County. She lives near the Avalon, Bellevue area. He and I live near Zelienople. He lives near the Beaver Valley Mall. But generally, Pittsburgh, we play a lot in the city, around the city.
Okay. And how did you come up with the name for the band?
That was all the way back.
So deep.
In 2011, when we first had the, half idea of eventually maybe one day starting the band, Tim and I were just at his computer. We were on a random name generator website. And eventually, over the course of time, I guess it just happened upon Trading Twilight, and that stuck.
Well, the website had specific options you could put for its name generation. And after a while, testing different options, we put on alliteration, so it starts with the same letter. And then we just started going through a couple different letters, and eventually we put T in, and Trading Twilight was one of the first names that come up. I mean, we weren't just trying to settle on anything. We were trying to settle on something we connected with. I mean, we were probably doing this for 20, 25 minutes, just continuously cycling through names, talking about different names and stuff.
It was a while. I don't remember the alliteration option, but
that's definitely how we landed on it. But and we just thought, we're spending so much time on coming up with a name, on music in general, Trading Twilight, wasting away time, wasting away the nights. It just kind of made sense.
And also, you often practice in the evenings together.
Well, that was years later, but retroactively.
Okay, you made the name fit over time.
Yeah, it was cosmically, it was preordained that we would have this name.
Okay. Let's go into a couple songs here. The party song, and I really like the storytelling in this song. It takes me into the party with you. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you noticed this. The song actually starts with the sound of a door opening. We recorded the sound of like a creepy door opening that is at the very start of it, to kind of like really start the story. Do you want to talk about this one at all?
This one, I mean, I feel like the biggest inspiration, at least for the beginning half of the song, is modern baseball. That's what it sounds most like to me. This was, I believe, the something better. Was it the third or fourth song?
Fourth song.
It was the fourth song we wrote for the album, and we wanted to. I think it was him who actually came up with the kind of unique drum pattern. At the time, it was especially unique because we were really limited in our knowledge on drums.
Bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. That was our classic every song.
That was a big feature of the song. And he did the lyrics. I mean, he's the lyricist. He did the lyrics and has the story behind those.
So, well, funny that you say that. This is actually the first song that you contributed lyrics to out of whenever we were writing.
True. I think it was only.
No. It was the second.
That.
It was the second after Hopeful Melancholy because you contributed to the bridge on Hopeful Melancholy.
I did.
But yeah. So there was this really strange. So it kind of. I have to tell a little bit of the story about the album briefly to make it make sense. So when we first started as a band, me, Josh, and previously Libby, and we were all writing songs together, I would write a lot of songs from my own experience, my own personal experiences, like relationship struggles, stuff like that. And our keyboardist at the time, Libby, she especially did not like that all of the songs were about my experiences, about my exes, about, my like struggles growing up. So we talked as a group and we decided that we would make a concept album. I've always loved concept albums, so it just naturally made sense to me, about a character with events that we all agreed would happen. And we like aggregate came up with like, oh, what would happen at these specific points throughout the story. We had like 4 or 5 plot points, and one of the ones that I forget if it was Josh or Libby at the time, it wasn't me, came up with was the character goes to a party. And I mean, Josh and I have been to like a house party or two in the past. I remember like that one in Oakdale or whatnot that we went to.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day. And I kind of used some of that. It was definitely, he's right, like much inspired by modern baseball. But that song, yeah, it started off with this idea, and it's an interesting one. It was our second single we released. It actually was not ever meant to be a single. The order of the album got all messed up. I don't mind it in retrospect, but yeah, I don't know. Have anything else to add?
Now that you mention it, it's the whole concept of it. Well, I guess veering a little bit off of specifically the party song, but the whole album is kind of the character, and
about a character.
It's about a character that has relations to our personal lives, but is kind of its own separate thing. And the whole party aspect of that song is definitely about, like experiences that we've had feeling completely out of place, like we don't belong, and just kind of like being isolated even though you're in a crowded environment. So, yeah, just not really meshing well with that whole environment, I guess.
And that song specifically flows right out of Like a Dream, too, the song before it.
Leaning on the wall of this party, trying to make something of my night. The only eyes on me are from the portrait on the wall. Tried to talk to a couple people about who knows what. Poured myself a drink, wondering what I'm doing here. What would you do if you were here? 'Cause I'm sick of this. Joe Pass is talking about how he can't remember last Friday night, saying he was too blitzed for that. Hearing gossip about how the girl in the corner's been flirting with her best friend's ex, I couldn't care less.
The next song is Something Better, and you sing, "How many times can I wake up from this dream?" And when I listen to the song, it just tells me the story like I've been through it before too. Like life goes on, get out of your funk and get on with your life, you know?
Yeah, that song's and that's kind of ironic. So that is the first song on the album, and it's also the first song we wrote for the album.
Technically the second.
Proud of We worked on Proud of Me as like a proto song. We worked on Proud of Me way back in 2019. And it was the first song we ever worked on as a band, but we shelved it. It had a different BPM, it had a different key, it had different lyrics. I mean, it was Proud of Me, it had the Proud of Me chorus, but it was not the same song. It did not have like an interplay bridge with keyboard and guitar. Something Better, it was in 2022 or 2021 when we all got together and decided we'd start writing songs. That was the first one we really tackled.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely like that.
And so in the year before that, I kind of hate how much my previous romantic history is like interwoven through the album and music, but I was going through a very consuming, toxic breakup with an ex the year beforehand. And in the process of this, I had lost like 15 to 20 pounds, and I had stepped away from music a little bit in 2020. And our keyboardist, Libby, she had stepped away actually for the whole year of like 2019, whenever we came back from Slippery Rock.
Yeah, there have been ups and downs.
And through like half of 2020. And so in 2021, we all kind of like got together again, decided that we were going to be kind of serious about music, finally released something. We like came up with a plan, contacted different local studios, because at this point it was going to be a 3-song EP. And Something Better was largely about me putting, the struggles that I'd gone through in the previous year and that relationship behind me. It's probably one of the most one-to-one. I know the album's supposed to be about a character, but that's one of the more one-to-one songs from my personal life. And was meant to be a single too. It didn't work out with like the timing because, we all have day jobs and he wasn't able to get into the studio for a little while. And so that song had parts that like were not completely finished and stuff. But yeah, Something Better is, it's also one of our favorite songs.
I think that holds up really well. Something Better. It's a mainstay on our set lists. So I like the, pretty much everything about it, the instrumentation, the lyrics, and just the intensity of it. Because most of the songs on the album aren't nearly as intense as that, but that really opens up the album. Like it really grabs your attention, I feel, for the opener of the album.
I love the first verse with like a slight Midwest emo feel, like coming off of the chorus, the da 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 dun 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 goes into like this arpeggio with some more syncopated drums. That's probably my favorite part. Do you have anything to say about Something Better?
No, I feel like you guys pretty much covered it all. I think one of my favorite parts is some of the leads in there. Especially like it's been 2 months since I saw your face, and like just
bum 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 bum.
That's kind of like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Did you write it? Which one of you wrote that?
The leads, I believe I did like 90% of those Something Better's leads. I mean,
your chorus was like the chorus, the dun 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 was just this. It was like a 5-minute jumbled recording where you played parts of that as well as like a bunch of like freestyle melodies kind of similar to that, and then I pieced that one together. I know that.
That is
you still have the initial recording, which is just me playing the chorus over and over again, and then I had to sit back and just keep listening to it, and I put it all together.
Yeah, so it might have been like.
But I think you did the verse.
25.
The bum, 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 bum.
It's been 2 months since I saw your face. Since you told me you were better off without me. And I've tried. Damn, I've tried. I just can't get you out of my mind. How many times can I wake up from this dream? It always seems like there's something better for me every time I'm alone. Nowhere feels like home.
What's your plans for the next 6 months?
Well, I'm terrible with the specific dates of our shows, and both of these two are a little bit better about that, so I'll have you start.
Well, the first thing on our agenda is we are playing a show on August 8th in Lawrenceville. It's Side Quest on 44th. We've never played there before, but we're opening up for a band. Well, actually, it's a solo artist, but we're opening up for an artist called Michael Waves. He's doing like a mini tour. He's from Central PA. And so, yeah, it should be interesting. I don't believe, like I said, we never played there before, but from the pictures and everything, it seems like a pretty decent sized venue for what we've played, because we've just played pretty small venues up to this point. So, I'm interested in that. And after that, we also have a show for September 5th in New Brighton.
The Brighton Music Center.
We're going to be headlining that with a guest or two.
It'll be a midday show, which we've never really had an early show. It's going to be from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So that'll be interesting. And outdoors.
Hopefully it won't be too hot out by then. It'll be September, so hopefully it won't be like 90 degrees.
And I'll add too, besides, I think we have a couple of other shows that I'm also not sure of the dates yet. But in terms of like, we do have some new music that we've been working on. And so I think we're really trying to like polish up some songs and maybe record.
Yeah, we have 2 songs that we've fully completed, gone through multiple iterations of. We're happy with what we have right now. We're just trying to save up money until we can eventually record those 2. We are debuting those at some of our live shows, so come and see us. You'll hear those played live. And we have like one other one we're partially kind of working on. We're aiming at maybe doing an EP. And we also have another show in October. Do you remember that?
The Poetry Lounge?
You remember the day?
I just looked at it yesterday. I think it's October 15th.
Okay, and then we have another one for January in Butler. We're supposed to be opening at a
music hall that has not opened up yet.
A music hall.
A
music hall. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's what we have on the schedule right now. We're also going to do a bunch of open mics. We're going to do those piece between the shows, try to meet some people, see what we can, test the new songs, stuff like that.
Cool. Where can we find you at?
Everywhere. Anywhere you think that you would find music online.
All your streaming platforms, YouTube,
in your dreams, in your head,
on our website.
written in the clouds.
Yeah.
YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah,
You can find
YouTube,
us on
Spotify, Instagram, Facebook. I think we have a TikTok.
TradingTwilight.com.
Our
mentioned that.
website.
Oh, did you specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. Bandcamp. You could purchase our songs on Bandcamp if you want. We're on Apple Music. We're on Tidal. I mean, anywhere you could think of. Ask your grandma; she knows about us.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thanks for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thanks for having us. Yeah, we're at a point where we're definitely ramping up after the past year or two of like fluctuations. So I feel like we're on a good path, and I appreciate you having us on.
He was deep in the drum practice, practicing in the hyperbolic time chamber, really underground, just trying to get the drums mastered for these upcoming shows over the last year.
I wasn't a lot, honestly.
I was coaching him. I had the like a conductor trying to get us up to speed. Thank you for having us here. We definitely appreciate that. So it'll be an interesting next year for us. I feel like we're at a good point. We have a solid sound. I do have one more thing though. I want to get this on record. What would you say, just for all three of us, what would you say is your favorite song on the album?
Favorite song on the album?
Yeah, I had to choose one.
To play or to listen to?
That's a spicy, I don't know, that complicates it. Both. Kind of combine them a little.
Well, to play, my favorite song, since I'll go with drums since I'm playing drums right now, my favorite song to play would be Something Better. My favorite song to listen to might be unexpected, but it's Proud of Me.
Okay. What about you?
I mean, I was also going to say Something Better in terms of my favorite thing to play. Maybe listen to. I feel like it's between that and like a. What about you?
My favorite song to play, and it's pretty lame. It's not because of I like the song. It's not because of the necessarily musicality. It's the feel. It's Looking Through the Window. I love the closer on the album. I remember when I was in the studio and listening to it back on the radio and just like imagining playing it before a crowd. It feels like a victory lap. It feels like the end of a movie. And so I've always really liked that aspect of it. As far as playing, I'm really trying to think here. You know what? My favorite thing to play on the album, I'm a rhythm guitarist. I love to play all the different bass parts on our album. Shout out to one of our producers, Kenneth Mount, who helped write a lot of the bass. I love his bass work on Something Better, on Looking Through the Window, on rhythm guitar. I mean, I've played rhythm for years. I focus on the singing. My favorite song to sing has to be Looking Through the Window. I gotta double up. I'm a simple man. What can I say? But thank you again.
Yeah.
Sorry for the extra question.
I can't just stay in this house anymore. I can't just waste away my life. You may be gone, but I'm not. I slip my arms through the sleeve of my coat. I know there's gotta be something more for me. These streets I've seen 1,000